So what I want to do is actually talk about the difference between unit tests and behavioral driven tests, because I think the common misconception out there is that engineers believe that um, all tests are unit tests for some reason. Unit tests may seem pointless because they are only testing a specific unit of your code base, but behavioral tests are actually testing that your production code works with whatever flow you want. Okay, so if we take a look at this example here, there's a page of code where there's unit tests here, and then we also have a page for a behavioral driven test. And so the first thing that you'll notice is that with the behavioral driven test, it's almost as though we're going through the process of launching the app and then doing the action that we want to test. And then we check the result. And as for the unit tests, we're just testing a specific unit of code. And really, it doesn't matter what this code is doing. Let me actually show you the difference between these two. All right, so let's look at a typical example. A typical example of writing unit test involves creating a protocol of some sort, making sure that the production code abides by that protocol. So we would do task, what was it? Task delegate, VC delegate here. And that would enforce that we're abiding by the protocol. But all this protocol is doing is making sure that we have these functions here. That is really good because we have a clear understanding of the contract. And of course, it just depends on what you're doing. But look at what the next part of the process is for writing a unit test. All we're doing is just mocking out and asserting that when we call certain parts of this unit tests, are certain parts of this actual class, that, we're basically just checking to see if certain methods were called. But it's never more than a one-to-one relationship unless you have some really complicated unit tests. So when we look at behavioral driven tests, we're actually just testing production code. So there's no mocking, except for maybe your logger or your analytics tracker, so that we can get understanding and find out if a given thing was called or a certain page was loaded. So if we look at this test here, we are creating this context, which is basically like the app. And this is what we call building up a test suite. When you build up a test suite, you're actually building a suite around how you're going to test your application. Instead of just this dealing with one unit at a time, you're going to be able to ask more complex questions like what happens when the user taps on this, taps on that, and then goes to this screen. You might expect a certain behavior, and you can't really test that with just units. So this is my test suite. You'll notice that I mocked up only the logger and passed in the logger at the point of instantiating the project or creating an instance of the project. And essentially what happens is I'm able to check the results from the logger and spy on that and see whether or not adding a task here would actually create the results that I'm expecting. And so right now you'll see it's failing, but my unit test is passing. Why is that? Well, the unit test is passing because all we're doing is testing that our mock hit this line of code. But the behavioral test is failing because guess what? We commented out a line of code that we weren't supposed to. So when we uncomment that line, And we're really actually testing the production code, which is what the real goal of doing TDD is, right? To make sure that your production code is abiding by the product requirements, and not just that, your algorithms are correct. There should be a bit of both involved in that process, right? So that's my 2 cents. Just a quick one. Yeah. Follow, like, comment, ask me if you have any questions, and have a good day. So.